Would now like to introduce Mike Wise, who is a senior writer for the Undefeated, a digital property of ESPN that explores the intersections of race, sports, and culture. Prior to that, he was a writer at the Washington Post and New York Times. He's ready to go. Come on, Mike.
Thank you, Damien. Is this yours? Okay. I wrote down some notes on the computer, and I don't know if I really need them. I feel like we've been having the same conversation for a while, especially the last 5 years, and the controversy's been reignited. But for many Native people, 40 years now, they've been the NCAI, the National Congress of American Indians, were fighting against these logos and mascots in the late 60s. People forget that, and they think that this has just become a new PC thing. And so, I don't know. I don't know what to really start with. I'll just speak from my heart a little bit. 3 years ago, over a 4-month period, I think it was the Indian Health Service, Federal Indian Health Service, found that 103 young people between 12 years old and 24 years old had tried to commit suicide on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, which, if you don't know, is an area, I believe, bigger than Delaware and Rhode Island combined. And there's about 40,000 people on the reservation. And 9 of these kids were tragically successful, including a 12-year-old girl. Her name was Santana Janice, and she essentially hung herself in a small shack next to the trailer she lived in with her grandfather because she felt her life was so hopeless. And let's be honest, most of America doesn't give a shit. But what's even more sad in my mind is that most people are more concerned with the fact that I just said the word shit than they are 103 people attempted suicide on a reservation in this country. And even sadder still that for every one of us that has used the cop-out, Native people have much bigger problems than being someone else's mascot. These children who took their own life are the same ones who the American Psychological Association has been telling us for 20 years, using unbiased mental health professionals to find out that these images and these logos hurt kids. And we don't look at that. We don't connect the dots for some reason. And it hasn't happened. I don't care how passionate people get. I don't care how educational or intelligent people are on this issue. It just seems people don't care. And that to me is like one of the biggest problems, because I feel like, if society sees you as a memory of your ancestor, and they don't see you as someone who might grow up one day to become something more of a Plains Indian or a warrior, then how can you ever see yourself as a youngster that's going to become an engineer or a senator or CEO like Ray, or hell, even a high school graduate? And so I feel like people say, how many bigger problems are there? It's one thing to steal a person's land. That's awful enough. But now we don't even let them control their own identity. So how dare us? How dare us in many ways. I've been an advocate for giving Native people their dignity back for about 25 years. The moment I met a man named Phil St. John, Sioux man from Minnesota, who took his 5-year-old son to a high school basketball game and saw him shamed by a white kid in war paint who made a woo-woo sound by patting his mouth at halftime, and the child just turned away in shame, and he knew right that moment he had to do something, and he formed an organization called Concerned American Indian Parents, in I think it was 1987. And I've also seen this up close because there was an incredible protest at a Washington, Minnesota game in Minneapolis 4 years ago. There was 5,000 people walking down the street. And Native mothers came up to me and said what this does to their children. I would challenge anyone who doesn't care or who has a jersey at home or who buys season tickets to talk to one of these mothers, because it changes your perspective. And I've also spent a lot of time on the Pine Ridge Reservation while researching a book on Billy Mills, who is part of a video that I think they're going to queue up in a minute for me. And I guess I've seen some of it firsthand. It's hard because, well, first of all, I want to thank the museum, the great people here, Damian Thomas, Lonnie Bunch, everybody, for co-sponsoring this with the National American Museum of the American Indian, because frankly, most people of color in Washington don't care. And most people who look like me, more than most people who look like me, don't care in this area. Using the team's name is like saying bedspread or cup. It's just part of our lexicon, and we don't think it matters. And I think a lot of my friends happen to be fans of the team, and I've tried to get this through to them. And I do feel an empathy in a way, because at that protest in Minnesota, I saw kids who had no idea a protest was going on, told by their parents to turn their beanies inside out and don't show the team's colors. And the children had no idea what was going on. And I also think that most fans inherently are good, including the owner and even the commissioner of the NFL, they're inherently good people who might send money away to disaster victims or do something, whether it's somebody walking through a crosswalk that needs to be helped up. But in that, in their mindset, an inherent right to believe you're a good person, keep on believing you're a good person, is you don't let something like this penetrate your conscience, because then you start doing mental gymnastics and say, well, hold up. My grandfather loved this team. I can't delete my memories. I can't feel bad about that. And then when you call them racist, boy, that's like their hairs get up, their hackles get up. Like, no, wait a minute. This team means something to me. This team really means something to me. And that's the part of me that really gets, that's where I lose, I guess, my empathy for them in a way, because I feel like the commissioner, Roger Goodell, and the hardened fan arrogantly, and Dan Snyder, has used the term honor, respect, and heritage as if they were the ones who were forced to leave their lands 150 years ago. And it's like it's actually the embodiment of the logo on their helmets, and they see themselves as these brave warriors who are fighting to keep what is theirs, their name, their memories. And they've changed it around. It's amazing in their own minds. Like, it becomes their honor and their dignity. And how dare these non-resilient parents and kids who can't get over it, and how dare those liberal, progressive, social justice warriors, guilty as charged, how dare them fighting for mutual respect of a people that, according to a Washington Post poll, doesn't really want it. Like, they hide behind a poll. And so I guess I'm done. I'm done caring about the feelings of those who want me to consider their history with the name and their childhood memories. I can no longer empathize with the fan who insists on keeping these names and logos, because the truth is they've never empathized with any of our Native brothers and sisters. And if they want a real fight, certainly a bigger one than their team usually puts up on Sunday, I'm all for it. Let's do this and let's go. Thank you. And feel free to play that video as well. I'm proud to be.
Proud, forgotten, Indian, Navajo, Blackfoot, Inuit, and Sioux, survivor, spiritualist, patriot, Sitting Bull, Hiawatha, and Jim Thorpe. Mother, father, son, daughter, Chief. Apache, Pueblo, Choctaw, Chippewa, and Crow. Underserved, struggling, resilient. Squanto, Red Cloud, Tecumseh, and Crazy Horse. Rancher, teacher, doctor, soldier. Seminole, Seneca, Mohawk, and Creek. Mills, Will Rogers, Geronimo. Unyielding, strong, indomitable. Native Americans call themselves many things. The one thing they don't